been way too long since I've been behind the wheel of an RS Audi, but today that wait is over and I bring to you the RS4. So first of all, massive thanks to my mate Tony, who's thrown me the keys to his lovely RS4. I promise I'll be respectful, mate, don't worry. Ish. So the first thing I want to talk about is the engine, because this thing is an absolute weapon and it sounds incredible, honestly. It's a V8 engine and it's 4.2 naturally aspirated, so it literally revs forever. Honestly, you keep on expecting it to change gear and it just doesn't, it just keeps on revving right past 8,000 revs. It's unbelievable. So these come out of the factory with 444 brake horsepower as standard. I wonder if they've done that because it's on RS4, 444 RS4. I hope they have, because that's a nice little touch for me, I think. Just me. I thought it was pretty cool. But this particular model has had a couple of modifications and it's running slightly higher than that, so it's 452 brake horsepower. It feels it as well. It gets you from 0 to 60 in just over 4.5 seconds, so as you'd expect from a marquee RS Audi vehicle, it's very powerful. We're on a nice stretch of road here, but there's a bus in front of us. Alright, see you later. And you can tell why these brakes are £1,000 a corner, because it stops just as fast as it shoots off. Incredible bit of machinery, this. This version of the RS4 only comes in the estate. This is the B8 RS4. If you wanted a saloon vehicle of this particular era, you'd have to go for the RS5. The models before this, the B7, they did have a saloon version, which I was lucky enough to own as it happens. So it'll be interesting to see how this one differs from that. But yeah, this one only comes in the estate. But honestly, it doesn't feel like you're in one at all. My daily driver was a A6 by TDI estate, and you knew you were in a big, long vehicle for all it was quick and powerful. But this thing, it doesn't feel like you're in an estate at all, in the slightest, which is brilliant. It feels like you're in something small and nimble, and the performance is incredible. Comes with 4-wheel drive as standard, and it's the last of the V8 models. After this, they switched and went to, I think, a 2.9 turbo powered V6. So if you want a V8 RS4, it's either this one or the model beforehand. And honestly, who doesn't love the sound of a V8 engine? I mean, come on. So if you have a long stretch of road and manage to keep the revs high like this, that's when this car really comes alive. Listen to that. See what I mean about the revs? It just revs and revs and revs. You keep expecting it to change gear and it just doesn't. It holds on. Unreal, like. What a bit of kit. It's a proper flying machine. It's frightening, in fact, how fast this is. So Tony's decided to go for the Sepang blue colour, which I think is the best you can get in this particular car. Reason being, you can get all different types of colours. You can get blacks and silvers and reds and greys and that, what have you. But you see loads of Audis on the road, all those colours. But when was the last time you saw a normal A4, for example, in the Sepang blue like this? Probably quite a while. Because they're pretty rare. Which I think gives this car just a little bit more of the X factor. I actually was leaving town the other day and I saw Tony coming the other way in this. And it really stands out. And I think with the contrasting silver grille and those lovely silver wing mirrors, it's just a lovely combination. Stands out brilliant. For a long time, up until very recently actually, the mark of a performance Audi was the silver wing mirrors. So if you saw an Audi coming towards you that might have been black or grey or red or blue like this or whatever, if it had silver wing mirrors, you kind of instantly knew that it was something special. And nowadays the wing mirrors are body coloured, so I think they've lost that little bit of sparkle about them, unfortunately. I mean, some people may like that. I personally preferred the silver wing mirrors because it made them stand out a little bit more, but each to their own. But the practicality is great. It's an estate car at the end of the day. Tony's a family man and he's had this for 2 years. He says it's ticked all those boxes that he needs very well. It's got heated seats throughout, so yeah, it's been spot on. It's just it happens to have an engine that's been crafted by the devil, that's all. It's got a sports suspension with something called dynamic ride control. Now I don't know what that is, but it sounds good, doesn't it? I think it's got something to do with putting the torque to whichever wheel needs it most, because it handles very, very well. And I don't know if you'll be able to hear it transfer to the camera, but when it downshifts, it makes a lush little blipping noise. It drops a little bit of fuel into the exhaust pipe on the downshift and just gives it a little blip. Goes like that. It's quality. But as I say, I don't know if you'll be able to hear it that well in the camera. Probably not. But from the driver's seat, it sounds incredible, honestly. So as with all RS4s, it's got the lovely RS4 badge on the boot. It's got the RS4 badge on the front grille. This particular model has got the 20-inch rotors, which set the car off even nicer. And if I was to get one myself, I would definitely go for this colour as well, because it stands out more. If you buy one of these, you want it to stand out really, don't you? So we've covered that the car is beautiful from the outside, obviously, but what about the interior? You could be blindfolded and put into this thing. As soon as you take your blindfold off, you know exactly what you're in, because there's RS badges everywhere. And if you're paying all this money for a RS model Audi, that's what you want to see, isn't it? So when you look at the dash in front of you, you've got the nice RS badge. You've got the RS4 badge on the steering wheel. You've got RS on the gear stick. You've got RS on the door cards, and it's also on the seats as well. And this particular model has got the half leather, half Alcantara seats, which are super comfortable. And one thing I didn't realise, which Tony's just told me when I picked the car up, is if you get the wing back seats, it takes up an extra something like 4 inches in the back of the car, so you've got much less leg room. So for me, he's done the right thing getting these seats. He's also got the RS4 car mats, which again just have that little bit extra luxury about them. This car's also got the optional extra of the carbon pack, so you can see there's nice carbon everywhere. It's on the centre console here, it's on the door cards, it's on the dash there with a nice little Quattro badge. And it really finishes the car off nicely. It's a nice place to sit. And it's also got the Bang & Olufsen sound system, which I can tell you I cranked up a little bit earlier on, and it's absolutely belting. So one of the things you can do in this Audi is change the drive select, so you can have it in a few different modes. Tony has it in individual setting, which I think is a good idea because you can manually set the car up exactly how you want it. So for example, you could have the exhaust in dynamic, which is just a code word for loud mode. But you can have the steering and suspension in comfort mode. And it just allows the driver that little bit more flexibility to set the car up exactly how you want. This one's got the flat bottom steering wheel as well, which looks really racy and sporty. And you can tell it's been really well looked after. I mean, this is, I think, a 2013 car, but genuinely feels brand new. Tony's obviously looked after it very, very well. And the previous owners obviously looked after it really well too. So overall, as a package, it's just a lush car. It's styled very well. And you don't have to be Sherlock Holmes to work out that it's something special. So if you're looking for understated, this isn't for you. One other thing to mention when it comes to styling is the engine bay itself, because it's an absolute masterpiece. I mean, it's an absolute travesty that it's covered by the bonnet all the time, because it really is beautiful. They should have definitely sold this thing with an optional extra transparent bonnet. And there's food for thought. Fuel economy in these is, as you'd expect, pretty shocking, but that's not really why you'd get one of these. You probably get about 25 miles per gallon, if that. Direct quote from Tony, he reckons if you have to worry about your fuel bill, turn the fuck around and get out. because this thing will cost you an absolute fortune. That's all I need to say about that, really, isn't it? So value for money, you can pick these up for between 24 and 28 grand these days, which I think is great value for money. I don't really want to give it back, if I'm honest. So that's all I've got to say on this car, really. It's just a short review. It's not my car, so I don't know what it's like to live with day to day, but in the short time that I have had it, it's been an absolute belter. One thing I'll say about it above all is it does not feel like an estate car at all. I don't know what the RS6s feel like, but I mean, you get in this thing and it feels like my old saloon, and it's a really, really good bit of kit. I've enjoyed having it. I'm sad to hand it back, to be honest. So I hope you've enjoyed the review, and I'll see you next time, where I'll be reviewing my new daily driver, which is a new Range Rover Sport. So subscribe to the channel if you're interested, and we'll see you again next time. Take it easy, cheers.